Hey guys, you're about to listen to our show Records and Rants, a weekly show where Dixon and I discuss or review an album, song, or other music-related subject, and then at the end we let off some steam and rant about a random topic of the week. Make sure to subscribe and leave a like below if you enjoy, and leave a comment if you have an album or topic you want us to discuss in the next episode. New uploads every week. Hello everyone, welcome to Records and Rants. We're here back with another one. We got a lot to talk about today, so I'm not going to waste your time by drabbling on with some kind of intro. My name is Ice, and with me, as always, is Dixon. How are you?
Ice, good to be back. Good to be here. You know, sometimes the best introduction is no introduction at all, and you are someone who needs no introduction.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, I think you're right. I think we gotta sometimes you just gotta cut right to the chase. Sometimes you gotta explain some things. But I don't know if you noticed, Dixon, but I attached a nice little intro at the beginning of our last episode that I uploaded. Yeah, and I think that's important to get across. You got the classic call to action, like, subscribe, comment, you know, the whole thing. And I honestly think people probably really appreciate it because they're coming in and they're saying, "What in the F is Records and Rants? What is it? What do they talk about? What's going on? Who are these people? What do I do? Do I subscribe? Do I like? What's going on here?" So we give them the opportunity to take away that thinking. They don't even have to think about it. You just mindlessly consume content and listen to us talk, and then you like and subscribe, and that's it.
Sounds like really just laying it out there. And what I appreciate is that, you know, after that intro, I mean, the likes, the comments, the subscriptions were just pouring in.
Oh, they really were. Is that sarcasm? I don't even know what it is. I'm not even sure what our last metrics are.
I have noticed that, you know, we are kind of hitting our stride, if you will, because this is the kind of content people want. They want to hear about records. They want to hear about rants. They want to hear us.
Yes.
Kind of navigate that murky stratosphere out there we call life. So, and we're happy to do it. Somebody's got to do it, and I guess we're taking on the role.
Yeah, we're the only people that are doing this, and I think that, you know, I think it's not an easy job. I'll say that.
No, it's not, for sure.
But I love what we do. So.
Me too. I'm glad we're doing this together.
Absolutely, like we always said we would.
And you know, it took a few years of convincing on your end, but here we are.
I know. I'm glad. I do have a lot of fun with this. But speaking of fun,
yes,
you were talking about an interesting topic that you wanted to bring up regarding this Elvis character.
Oh my gosh!
Could you explain? Could you elaborate just a little bit on what you're going to talk about today?
So, Ice, I guess you could say I'm caught in a trap, and I can't walk out, because I saw the Elvis film, and it kind of reignited my passion for Elvis. And that's what I want to touch about today. And I want to talk about his career, you know, kind of what the movie does well, what you know, all those kinds of things. No spoilers, of course, because it's been out for quite a while. If you haven't seen it by now, you're probably not going to see it. But no spoilers at all.
And when did this movie come out? Is this recent?
June 24th, I think, end of June.
Okay, so it's relatively recent, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so
within the past month, okay.
And would you believe I saw it not only once, but I saw it twice.
Wow. Now you really must like this. You're an Elvis guy. That, you know, I'm aware that you're a pretty big Elvis guy.
Yes. Well, I saw it, and the reason I saw it is because my significant other, God love her soul, she was unavailable to see it with me, and I'm like, I cannot wait any longer. I have to go see it. So I went to see it solo, and I took it all in, and I'm like, you know, you have to see this with me. You'll really appreciate it. You'll enjoy it. So we took advantage of a local deal where the movie is discounted, so we went a second time. I went a second time anyway.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah.
So was this movie all about his life, his music career? It's essentially like a biography, right?
Yeah, it is. It's biography. So it starts when Elvis is young, goes into like his rockabilly hound dog phase, gets into his comeback special, his Vegas phase, and then we all know, you know, it's better to burn out than it is to rust, and Elvis certainly did burn out too quickly, if you ask me.
Wow, and see, like, I don't know anything.
Wow,
I don't.
You don't know anything.
No, well, I mean, some might say that, but I don't know anything really about Elvis, I guess you could say. I know that he shook his hips And
Yes, yes.
and did he actually die of a heart attack on the toilet? Is that
Well,
actually true?
yeah. So his death certificate, or I believe one of the official causes of death is just like heart failure.
Okay.
So the city was found in his house in Graceland in Memphis, Tennessee. Like he fell off of the toilet, just like totally like just like frozen in time. Like he was like literally gonna like just fell off sitting down, like was frozen there.
That's okay.
Yes. So the thing was is about this to go back to Elvis, and you talk about shaking his hips, and which I one of the things I learned from the film is that Elvis was playing a regional Southern circuit because his kind of music was big at the time, and the big thing was is that he sounded like he was black, and they pushed his music because he sounded like he was black because they had good music. They were kind of ahead of their time. You talk about blues, you talk about
Oh
rhythm and blues,
yeah,
talk about
absolutely,
all those things, African
absolutely.
American inventions. You know, I mean, totally laid the groundwork for guys like Elvis and the Rolling Stones and the Beatles and Buddy Holly. Um, he would shake his hips, and he was playing that Southern regional circuit, and they actually wanted that to stop, not only because it was lewd and lustful and it was a crime in their eyes because it was so offensive,
Yes.
but because it really kind of blurred racial lines, that he
Really?
was moving like a black man would dance. And that was one of the biggest complaints, is that, oh, wow, he's going to integrate society just by the way he moved.
That okay. Now I never knew that that was the aspect of it because I always knew that it was kind of like, oh, it's racy. You know, this is
Yes.
like everyone was very conservative back then as far as
Yes.
their views on this kind of media. So they see someone
Right.
shaking their hips. I mean, nowadays think of what we have. Like people are half
Oh,
naked,
my gosh.
essentially naked, gyrating.
Yes.
We have that
Yeah,
WAP.
that's.
We have that WAP
Yeah, I was
song.
literally just going to say that. We have that
Yeah.
song that's WAP. I mean, God.
Oh man, that song
Just totally
makes me
downhill.
it makes me uncomfortable. And I know now I know how women feel when rappers talk about defiling them every single day of their lives. Now I understand. But
Thanks, Elvis. Now we have WAP.
yeah, thanks. He was the one that started this. Thanks a lot, Elvis. So okay, so there's that aspect to it. They thought it was lewd and everything,
Yes.
but there was also the racial line. So you're
Yeah.
saying that Elvis was he was ahead of his time because you're right because African Americans, black people, people of color, whatever the correct term is for it nowadays,
Right.
they were the ones. And I mean, they were always more cultured as far as like you said, the jazz, the blues era, like everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
They were at
100%.
they were at the forefront of it. But you're saying that Elvis kind of went into this and blurred
Right.
the lines between the white and black culture.
Yes, yes. And even in Jimmy Carter's statement when Elvis died, he's like, he played white country, but he also mixed black with rhythm and blues together, which is the truth. And there you have this defined racial line. And what you could thank Elvis for is he kind of blended these whole things, because white people never would have heard it if Elvis hadn't played it, or
Oh no,
experienced it,
absolutely.
you know.
Yeah, so
But
he
yeah,
really brought the brought us white folk to the he brought us to the stage, I guess you could say, and said, "Hey,
yes.
we
So
could we're here too," kind of thing. We
yeah,
could all enjoy
absolutely.
this music together. Okay, that's great. That's great.
Absolutely, yeah. And I remember one of my first memories with Elvis. It was I was in the on the West Coast as a young boy. I remember we went to like one of the first Best Buys in the country. Like it was a big thing to go to Best Buy. I
Oh
can't even
wow,
believe Best Buy is still in business now.
I can't either. I mean, they took over when Circuit City went down, and I can't believe that they're still around. That's crazy to
It,
me.
it's insanity that anybody actually even goes to a Best Buy. But nonetheless,
Yeah, like a failing model, but yeah,
yeah,
what do we
I
know?
exactly. And so I remember buying Elvis live at Madison Square Garden 1972 on CD when I was like 10 years old. And I played it and I was into it, whatever. Because I had really had a fond love for the Beatles and the Beach Boys and all that kind of old stuff. So I remember having that album and like I listened to it. It was okay. I wasn't too impressed.
Hmm.
And then, we always talk about our autist knowledge and how
Yes,
we have these autist focus. One day I woke up and say, you know what, I'm into Elvis. So I learned everything I possibly could about
I
Elvis,
love it. I
read
love it.
about Elvis, listened to his stuff, watched his videos, and then I saw the film. And what was interesting to me about this, and there's this whole really villain-esque character in the film, Colonel Tom Parker, who was his manager.
Hmm.
And the deal was Tom Parker had written was that and this isn't a spoiler, this is just fact, that he would take 50% of everything Elvis earned. So Elvis got 50%, Tom Parker got 50%.
Wait, I'm sorry.
So
Why did this Tom Parker get 50%?
just because that was the contract he drew
Wow.
up.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Parker took the lead on this thing and kind of pulled a fast one. However, now the Colonel is played by Tom Hanks. Won't get into his personal life, his accusations, whatever,
Yeah.
separate. Yes. But so he actually met with Priscilla Presley, his Elvis's widow, and they were actually divorced at the time of his death.
Mm-hmm.
But she said, Tom and Elvis got together. They were a partner. They were partners. And Elvis was happy to sign a contract and give him 50% of what he earned because he trusted Tom. You have a hard time believing that when you see the film because it's like it caused so many issues in Elvis's life. And one of the main things is he couldn't tour overseas. He couldn't do an international tour. Elvis couldn't, even though he wanted to. And the reason being, Tom Parker keeps saying, security reasons. Well, here, Tom Parker left Holland as an illegal immigrant, an alien, if you will. Tried to come up with this guise that he was from West Virginia. However, he wasn't a citizen anywhere. He had no citizenship anywhere.
So he
had no passport. Yeah, he had no passport. He had no records. He couldn't go overseas. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So interesting story there. And what you really saw is that Elvis is what's amazing. What the question I ask is that if Elvis was correctly managed, I mean, Elvis is still the #1 solo recording artist of all time. The lasting impact, the phrases that you think about that you don't realize, like Elvis has left the building, thank you very much, all these kinds of things.
Yes,
they're just cultural staples from Elvis, just from his act, and he hasn't been around for 50 years.
So he had that much of an impact, like all that kind of, and so all these things that we use in like pop culture now, it came from him.
Yeah, absolutely. And then so you wonder if he was actually managed correctly, if he had done an international tour, if he had different perspectives, if they he was, Tom Parker was all about the merchandise, selling things, all this kind of stuff. Like the 68 comeback special almost didn't happen. It was supposed to be a Christmas special if it were in Tom Parker's eyes. If he had correct management, if he were represented correctly, with somebody with the ability to travel and things like that, what the impact would have been.
So
what? Good.
I'm so just hearing all this stuff. I'm curious why did he stay with this? Like why did he allow himself to be managed like this?
Well, it turns out that Elvis liked to spend that cash, and by the time you go to buy out Tom Parker, you've already spent your 50%, and Tom Parker's looking for his slice of the pie, according to the film.
Okay.
Like I said, Priscilla had nothing but positive things to say. Now, what is a terrible thing is that as Elvis's health starts to decline, he's taking prescription drugs. He's aligned with this Dr. Nick, who would give him some sort of combination that just literally would like perk him up via, not intravenous, but like an injection.
Interesting. I wonder what that was all about. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a scene in the film where this is known because Elvis would do this, but he just collapsed. And so they're putting his head in cold water. They're trying to revive him, wake him up. And Tom Hanks's character as Tom Parker says, the only thing that's important is he has to be on stage tonight.
Wow.
And Dr. Nick comes over and gives him a shot. And then he goes you see him on stage giving this performance. Probably, if you're there, one of the best concerts you've ever seen in your entire life.
And they just did that by hyping it up with whatever the hell they were putting in him.
Whatever it was. Yeah, exactly. And then so like at the end of his career, there's this, and you can see it on YouTube, and I watched it on YouTube before it was in the movie. There's a scene where he's singing Unchained Melody, and it might be the best version of Unchained Melody, certainly an overly impressive vocal performance when you consider the man moments before was slurring his words, couldn't stand up, and literally is seconds away from his heart exploding, right? Goes into the best performance you've ever seen. If you're there, you're thinking, oh my God, this is one of the best things I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, yeah.
And so my girlfriend says to me, she goes, why didn't they get him help? And I said, well, think about where he's at. You inject him with this stuff. He goes out and he kills it every single night. The best show you've ever seen.
Yeah.
So what do we really need help for?
Yeah. You're not going to stop that. You're going to say, oh, this is great. And I mean, it's kind of sad though if you think about it. It seems like they were like very exploitative kind of relationship here with with his team and Elvis himself. That's what it seems like to me,
Yeah,
at least. You know.
absolutely. That's BB King as a young man is in the movie because Elvis was a fan and a friend of BB King and Fats Domino and all these guys who kind of started where he was, and he kind of progressed from there. And BB King says in the movie, there's too many people making money off of you, which is true. You had his family, you
Yeah.
had the Memphis Mafia, which was his security detail. You go to Elvis's house that he bought for his parents. He and his parents lived there for years, and his wife Priscilla, and they had Cadillacs and things parked outside, and they were basically really what it comes down to. Are just they're like basically hillbillies. You go there, the cars are parked in the yard. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like this big deal, but people were taking advantage of Elvis. There's no doubt about that. And I guess according to one of the final scenes of the film, that had come to light, and there were some lawsuits involved and everything else. So Tom Parker kind of paid for what he had done to Elvis, even though they have positive things to say.
Now, that really confuses me. If what the movie said was true, then why is this guy held in such a positive regard
I don't
after
know.
everything that was done, and
Yeah.
with the lawsuit? What was going on with that? What did who came out on top with the lawsuit?
Well, so I guess it was the bottom line is that Elvis's the mistreatment of Elvis financially was exposed, and then ideally I think it was
Okay.
rectified because it was Elvis Presley Enterprises. Tom Parker was involved in that, and then they separated Tom Parker and Elvis Presley Enterprises. So evidently, it sounds like that Parker
Oh my
settled
God.
with Elvis Presley Enterprises, which owns and operates Graceland, the home and resting place of Elvis and his family.
So he still has his hand in Elvis's pockets when he's 6 feet under, essentially.
No. I think that tie got severed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. See, I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, I think this is really interesting for anyone watching who doesn't know anything about Elvis, because I didn't know he had such a tragic story. Honestly, I didn't know that
Oh yeah,
he went through this. He was taking the drugs and the weight gain and everything. Like, does the movie cover stuff like that?
it does. You see his failing health. You see his things like that. And the thing is what one of the things that was powerful about it and sad about it is that you have such a young, talented man who was still young when he died, who maybe in theory could have still been alive today, that just kind of got wrapped up in things, got kind of a bad break because of his upbringing, because he didn't have the legal backbone, the legal team to represent him when he was signing these contracts and releasing records with RCA. So kind of like I said, it just burned out. So not only is he poorly managed, excuse me, poorly managed, died tragically and untimely, abused drugs, was overweight. He is the king of rock and roll, defined. And I'm gonna say this right now, and I've always said this. I don't know if you've heard me say this.
Let's hear it.
They cover this a little bit in the film, but not so much. Elvis at his heart and at his core, Elvis is a gospel artist.
I don't think
Elvis is a gospel artist.
Okay. Now what? Now
Yeah.
what brings you to that conclusion? Because from what I've heard, it sounds like he's, I don't know, I don't even know, like kind of bluesy rock and roll of that era kind of thing.
Forget the drug use, forget the adultery, forget everything else.
Okay.
Elvis in his heart is a gospel artist. He grew up singing gospel music. He says, and there's a scene in the film where he says, gospel music makes him happy. He wants to record gospel music. He recorded a whole album of gospel
Interesting.
songs.
Okay.
And the thing is if you look at Elvis's performances, especially in the late '60s, '70s, they are big. They're over the top. He's commanding a performance. He's bringing the screams, and people are coming to their feet for Elvis. It's a service. It's a worship service, not for him. But they kept saying that in his one of his defenses, that he was saying when he was dancing and singing and shaking his hips, and his mother says too in the film, is that this talent is God given. It's not a bad thing. It's just you have a problem with it. But Elvis at his core, religious man, believed in God, was completely 100% a gospel artist. And not only is he the king of rock and roll, he is the definitive gospel artist of all time.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
That's a big statement right there. And I think a lot of people would agree. No, what were we gonna say?
Yeah, I was going to say, if you have ever want to experience Elvis. Okay, you can go to Suspicious Minds. You can go to Blue Hawaii. You can get into the early stuff. You can do all that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Listen to his gospel, and you will truly hear who Elvis is as an artist.
You know what, Dixon? I think that might be our next episode. I think I'm going to have to listen to one of these and let you know
Mm,
what I think. Now, let me ask you this: Do you really
yeah,
want me? Do you want me to give my honest opinion? Do you think I'll
yeah,
like it?
absolutely.
Okay, okay.
You don't have to
Because
like gospel music, like Elvis Gospel. Let me just say that
okay,
too.
okay.
That's a
That
whole other thing.
we're
Yeah,
throwing that out there right now. Okay.
yeah.
All right.
I
That
mean,
that.
I mean, it helps if you have some sort of faith in your effing
Well,
soul.
God
But
knows. God knows I don't.
you need you can appreciate Elvis's gospel. And some of the other facts that I love about gospel that Elvis that aren't covered in the film, but I just love is that he was blonde and he dyed his hair black because he thought it looked better.
Really?
Yes, so
This is
he was
crazy. There's so
blonde.
many facts
Yeah,
that I had no idea.
yeah, absolutely. And 1971 or 1970, Richard Nixon brought him to the White House and he gave him an honorary DEA badge. So it was like Elvis was a drug enforcement agent, and this is in the midst of his addiction to prescription
This is
drugs.
incredible.
Everything
That
else.
is fantastic.
So it's like there's this iconic picture of Elvis in the Oval Office with Nixon. They're shaking hands, and Elvis has like the cape on and stuff. He's starting to get a little heavy. He has like longer hair, and they're shaking
Yeah.
hands. And he was into these badges. Like he took it seriously, and also carried a little miniature gun on his ankle at all times.
Really?
Yeah.
Now I know you said he had like a. By the way, this picture's hilarious. I'm actually looking at it right now. Him and Nixon.
Yeah, isn't that
This
awesome?
is this is fantastic.
Yeah,
Oh, he's got the
yeah,
sunglasses on and everything. Looking at it. Oh,
yeah.
that's amazing.
I'm trying to find a T-shirt with it, but I can't. But anyway.
Oh my god, that's so great.
Yeah.
But you said he carried a pistol on his ankle. Was he
Mhm.
like scared because you said he had the mafia with him too, or the
No,
whatever they call.
that's they call the Memphis Mafia. That was
Well, no,
like
I
an
didn't. I
entourage.
didn't mean it was the actual mafia. I meant like the Memphis Mafia. So he had these people following him around, but he also had a gun strapped to him. Like, was he attacked? Did he have any reason to be so worried?
According to the film, he did receive death threats, and the thing was is
Okay.
that, and you have to look at this as a frame of reference. It really is. The '60s. You went from Elvis, and you went from, as they say, like white bread, sitting around the dinner table, everything is wholesome. You go
Hmm.
into the '60s, you have a counterculture revolution. You have, RFK is shot, Martin Luther King is shot. You have these tragic events that are shaping society, and you can't help but look back through those lenses to see the society. So not only is Elvis, who's the most famous man in America, threatened. Times are changing, and also he's paranoid.
Yeah.
He's got other things going on. He's got a whole psychosis, drug induced psychosis happening there. So that was certainly a factor.
Wow. Okay. It's not, it sounds tragic, honestly, the story, because
Yes, it's powerful.
yeah, I feel like I'm actually gonna have to watch it, and I usually don't watch. I was gonna say I don't watch music movies, but I don't. I feel like I don't watch movies at all, and you know that. But
Yeah, you're not a
this,
movie guy.
yeah, I don't know why, but yeah, this seems pretty interesting though. I think it's one of them that I'll have to check out.
Yeah, definitely worth it at the very least to just kind of get an introduction and then go from there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And you know that when I purchased the house that I live in now,
Yes, of course.
in the shed, the one item that was left in this entire house was the Elvis Presley Christmas album. I think there were a few other people on there. I think it was like a mashup, but
That's
I
great.
I do have that, and I am really, because as we know, I have a record player now, but I'm
Yes,
really looking forward to play that this Christmas.
that is a classic. And it's funny because it almost really, like I said, it was in he was supposed to have a Christmas special in '68, and
I
he said,
mean,
I don't want to do it," and it turned out to be the comeback special. Elvis in that iconic leather jumpsuit. Have you seen that
right?
image? Yeah,
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
Yeah,
right. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth checking out. I You don't have to be an Elvis fan to appreciate the film or appreciate his gospel. But I think if you have a little bit of understanding of Elvis, it'll make you definitely appreciate his story and his impact even more. And it's an unfortunate appreciation because I think it could have been a lot greater. And that's the other thing too. I'm sorry not to keep droning on about this.
No. Go ahead.
You remember at the news at the supermarket how they have that newspaper, the Worldwide Weekly or whatever? They always had Bat Boy on the cover.
Yeah.
Like it was always like they found Bat Boy.
Yeah.
And I remember they always had pictures, like every once in a while they would have a picture of somebody found Elvis because Elvis in theory faked his own death.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
So when you see the film and you see what he's going through and you see the kind of guy that Elvis is, and at the time of his death, he's kind of getting into spiritualism and he's kind of thinking differently and probably looking for an escape. You could totally see how someone like Elvis could make that happen and would do it, like definitely.
I mean, what do you think?
Well, I think he's dead by now.
Okay,
but I don't think he did, but I could definitely see the justification and the ability and the reason why. Yeah,
I see.
I mean, if anybody can get away with it, Elvis. I mean, even though he's the most famous man, he could definitely somebody like him could definitely get away with it because his appearance changed so much. His affect changed so much. Like he'd be one to get away with it. You get away from Vegas, you go international, which he didn't do with his current management team. I think he would have blended it right in.
Right. I mean, like, did people around the world know who he was? I mean, he probably was like world famous, but he didn't tour over there. So maybe like he could escape to like I don't know, like I don't know, somewhere.
And even if you're laying low, I mean, basically they said that he would tour and then just like literally lay in his bedroom. So like he could really just lay low for another 30 years.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe he did. That's another conspiracy that I didn't know about. That's
You didn't know about that?
No. I never heard about the fake death thing. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, there's a whole legion of people that believe that Elvis faked his own death, that Elvis was actually alive, that didn't happen. And how could Elvis go out this way? Elvis, if you're out there, give us a call. Leave us a comment.
Hit us up.
Big fan. So we'll go from there.
My fiance wants an Elvis wedding, so maybe we could employ him.
I looked into this a couple years ago because I think it's pretty cool. So just recently in the last month or two, they're trying to crack down on these Elvis chapels.
They're cracking down on Elvis chapels. What do you mean by that?
Yes, I guess they're wanting them to go out of business.
Why? They're
not like they're barring business.
Let me ask you this first to square this away and set the record straight. Why is Elvis associated with weddings in Las Vegas? Why is this a thing?
Wow. Well, wouldn't you know that Elvis played a 5 to 6 to 7 like 10-year residency in Las Vegas? So he played it. So
he is Vegas.
Yeah, he's Vegas. So it's funny because there's a song, Elvis had a song "Viva Las Vegas," which came out actually before he actually played in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see the film, I'm not going to give any spoiler. Well, this isn't really a spoiler, but basically Tom Parker had debts to the Vegas casinos, and he employed him through a contract, and they would erase his debt, and Elvis would get paid. And because it was a new casino, he could basically do the show for free without any cost to him and still get paid. And Tom Parker got an unlimited line of credit.
That's I don't like this Tom Parker guy, by the way, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Now I understand.
The whole thing is bad.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, but so Elvis played in Vegas. So Viva Las Vegas, even before Elvis was in Vegas, came out, and then he went to Vegas, and that's where he kind of expanded his sound. He had backup singers, he had orchestra, he had guitar players, he had a whole thing going on. It really made, from a production standpoint, really made the sound big, like wide, and that kind of the sound that's associated with Elvis most often in this day and age because it was so big and so massive.
As you would hear in like gospel music, essentially.
Oh, well, yeah. Wouldn't you see? Isn't there a connection there? Yes, absolutely.
That's did he ever come out and say that he was like he was inspired by gospel music, or was it just known that? Okay, I got you.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
I got you.
You got it, man. Seriously, his stuff is powerful. But it's cool. But like I said, Elvis and Vegas kind of go hand in hand. Now the chapels, there's one that's still licensed by Elvis Presley Enterprises. And the weddings are cheap, and it's actually it's an actual wedding. You get a marriage certificate. There's a minister there. You have to pay the minister. I think the Elvis guy plays like a couple songs. But they have different packages. But you can go there and get
that's
an Elvis wedding
incredible.
For
that's
incredible.
Cheap.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I've looked into it before, and I think that's a really solid option. It really is.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I know people do that. I think haven't celebrities done that before too? Just gone out.
Probably. I think Britney Spears got married in Vegas that one time.
Yeah, there you go.
Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez just got married in Vegas. I don't know if it was an Elvis wedding, but
I don't know. That's I don't know. That's just funny to me. It's very interesting that's like a whole culture. But yeah,
It really is.
that,
It's wild.
yeah. No, we do some crazy stuff over here.
And the Elvis impersonators, of course, you can't think about that. I mean, we're getting into Jimmy Buffett territory where he controls everything. But yeah, you have the Elvis impersonators. People,
Yep.
their whole careers are based on impersonating
Yeah.
Elvis. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's. I mean, he's had a truly lasting impact. Like it's a household name even still today,
Hmm.
which is
Absolutely.
which
And
really says something about him.
really says something. And I'm glad we are saying it here first.
Wow. That's
And you've
right.
heard it here first. Elvis is a gospel musician, singer. Don't at me.
I'm gonna. That's the thumbnail. That's the thumbnail. It's in quotes. Elvis's gospel.
Oh, man, I love it.
That's that's great. Yeah, so Elvis's gospel. That's what we're putting on the thumbnail, so everyone knows it. You heard it here first. Dixon said it.
Heard it here first.
That's right.
Enjoy it.
No, yeah, exactly. So, so not to pull a too violent of a shift, but I have
Love a
something
good violent shift.
yeah, that's the name of this game here. Is violent shit. So I feel like sometimes we tie it in, but this one does not
Yes.
tie in at all, unfortunately. But
Violent shift with Ice and Dixon. Sorry, go ahead.
oh my god, I love that. That's so great. Violent shift. Oh, you might be onto something there.
It might be.
What I want to talk about has long-lasting impacts on not only American society, but also who's going to be the next president. And I mean this.
Wow.
I mean this genuinely. I genuinely mean this. And if you were like me back in 2016 on the YouTube platform and the internet as a whole, you saw this. You saw it coming. You saw that Donald J. Trump was going to be elected just by the overall ideas that were getting thrown around on the internet, what was popular at the time, what kind of videos people were making on YouTube. But there's another shift coming. Now,
Okay.
I just want to set up the timeline super quick so you have a background, cuz Dixon, I know you weren't big on the internet back in these times. But
Yeah, I still had dial up back in the day.
yeah, yeah, I know. Back in 2016, you said, "Oh, dial-up." Okay.
I appreciate this. Thanks for getting me up to speed.
Oh no, absolutely. Well, I mean, I might be autistic, but I find this stuff very interesting because
It is. It's cool.
There's a new move, and I've been online long enough where I see shifts in see like a paradigm shift over from like one thing to another.
Right.
So, on YouTube, right before Donald Trump was elected, the big thing on YouTube was to make, remember, anti-SJW stuff, anti-SJW videos, like
Yeah, of course.
SJW owned Compilation 15, Ben Shapiro
Right.
owns College Liberal, like shit like that, right?
Right.
So that was huge, and everyone was like going crazy about it. Everyone loved it. You could get popular back then by making videos like that. And then then that spilled over to 4chan. You had like the Kekistani people, and they all had their Pepes and everything. Yeah,
No normies allowed.
Yeah, exactly. So you had
That's
all
awesome.
that. You had all that stuff, and like 4chan will always say, "Oh, we memed Donald Trump into existence with all their memes, all like the anti-SJW videos and everything." Okay, so there was all of that. And then you started having more conservative people that were making videos during Donald Trump's presidency.
Right.
But then towards the end, you started to see liberal YouTubers and streamers start to come around.
Okay.
And that's super popular right now. I'm not saying conservative YouTubers aren't popular. I mean, you have the two big ones, which are Steven Crowder and Tim Pool. And of course Ben Shapiro too. But I mean those are like, that's like friggin' CNN right now. They're so big, like they're just a staple in like the news genre, right?
Right.
But anyway, like I said, they call it BreadTube. Like, so you have like liberals, leftist, tankies, which are like communist people. Like they're popular on the internet now. That is.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Not to interrupt you. Was this? You think this is a coordinated launch by some sort of? overseeing that they have to counteract the influence that the quote conservative has on the internet media.
You know, I was genuinely thinking that.
Right.
I honestly was, because it does seem like it sways with, like, once there's an, I mean, at least in the past couple presidential elections, it seems like there's a swaying of,
Right.
like, it was like, okay, Donald Trump's getting in, like, you had all the anti SJW stuff, everyone loved it, everyone backed it, and they saw Donald Trump as the anti SJW president, so everyone voted
Mm-hmm.
for him. Everyone who was young got into politics, everyone was all about it, they loved it,
Right.
and that got them to go out and vote. But then, before Biden got elected, you had a lot of, like I said, the liberal people, like the neo-libs, the bread tubers, the tankies, the leftists. They were rising up through the YouTube algorithm and becoming popular. They were debating people, all this stuff.
Gotcha.
And
Gotcha.
then Biden got elected. But
Huh.
now here we are, and there has been, because like I said, I have to preface this again. I'm autistic and I go on YouTube literally constantly. I'm now seeing in my algorithm being pushed up to the top, and I know this for a fact because everyone else is seeing it too,
Okay.
that there's a lot of these red pill guys. You know what the red pill is?
I've heard of the red pill. I've heard of the white pill. I've heard a lot about these
a
pills
lot, a
that
lot
are
of.
supposedly supposed to shift your well being and outlook if you ingest one of these pills, literally or figuratively.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of these red pill uh, figures that are coming up. A lot of these red pill personalities that you'll see all over social media. They're on TikTok, they're on YouTube, they're on, people are talking about them on Twitter, Instagram, anywhere. And it's crazy because now you see them, they're coming on and debating with these bread tubers again. But the fact is that these red pillar guys are starting to get more popular now than the existing um, leftist coalition that I would say
Really?
has hold of YouTube currently.
Wow.
And I find it very interesting. And we'll go into what they talk about, but I find it very interesting that that's happening now. And I think, because this is exactly what happened with the anti SJW videos, and everyone, and it got super popular. But I think we are seeing a shift again from people that are liberals, and then they went to the anti SJW side because they saw that the leftists were saying crazy things. But now the story from the left is that the white male is like an enemy. Like they're sexist, they're rapists, they're arist. Sorry,
Oh yes,
censor that.
yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're sexist. They do the R word. They're, we're worthless. We're not high value.
Okay.
Um, and I think the liberals and the leftists have really screwed the pooch on that, because you're saying to a huge block of the voting community that you are essentially worthless and you have to shut up and listen to everyone
Mm.
else.
Yeah, it's an interesting strategy, but that's what they're leading with.
Yeah, very,
Yeah.
very, very interesting. But then you have all these influencers on social media, these red pill guys, and now suddenly their message looks super appealing to people who were left in the dust by the
Hmm.
left.
Right.
And it's like, what do you expect to happen? And so
Right.
now you see these people, like, there's a few. I mean, Jordan Peterson was like the original kind of red pill guy.
Yes, that was a
Um,
big. I remember that. Yes.
Now there's this one streamer, literally came. I don't even know where he came from. Never even heard of him in my life. But now he's getting like these high profile interviews and things like that. His name is Sneeko, or Schneeko. I forget what his name. But then there's this other
Yeah.
guy, Andrew Tate, who I sent to you, BTS.
Yes.
He was really down on his luck. He used to be poor. He was a kickboxer. He got super wealthy from winning all these tournaments, and now he spreads his red pill message of, you have to, it's self-improvement. You have to get up
Okay.
every day and do what you have to do. It's do what you have to do, not what you want to do.
Ooh,
Okay,
okay, interesting.
but now here's the thing where this stuff gets a little controversial.
Okay,
All these red pill guys think that there is a clear, huge difference between men and women,
okay,
and I think this is also how they get these these men to follow them.
right.
Exactly like the anti-SJW stuff of 2016. There, because we had the third wave feminists that were saying, men are disgusting, men are horrible. I could say whatever I want to, and then the anti-SJW crowd comes in and then attacks back,
Hmm.
and then you have everyone side with the anti-SJW people, and then Trump gets elected because, like I
Yes.
said, he was seen as, and I think that's happening again with this because you have the left saying white men are trash. Shut up and
Hmm.
listen. Stop mansplaining. Blah. All this bullshit.
Right.
And now the red pillars are coming in and saying, no, you're a man. You go improve yourself. You go lift. You go get the hottest girl that you can, and that's what you do. And you get your money and you get your fashion up. And there's
You're embracing almost the toxic,
yes.
or what they consider toxic aspect of the male experience.
Yes. Yeah, no,
Gotcha.
yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, so they're coming in and flipping the script and saying,
Right.
no, that toxic masculinity, that's not toxic. That's just who you are. You
Gotcha.
are a man. You have to provide. You have to go out and conquer, self improve, lift, get huge, and get money. And that's what you have to
Hmm.
do.
Then at some point, can I do what I want, or do I still have to do what I have to?
Well, see, well, that's the thing. It's always you should be working as hard as you can towards a goal that you want. You
I like that.
you should always be trying to achieve something. And yeah, see, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Dixon. These people
Hmm.
they're preaching something that's not controversial. So
Right.
now, and here it is again. I want to bring this up because this all ties into how the election goes. I know it sounds crazy, but
I hear you.
you have millions and millions of people watching these people.
Right.
So now you have these leftists and these liberals coming in and debate these guys, and they go on the talk shows with them, and these leftists try to counter their views,
Hmm.
but then they end up looking stupid because this guy, like for instance Andrew Tate, he just says, well,
Hmm.
that's how I live my life, that's how it should be. He's like, no, he's like, people like you, they're talking to these leftists that are online like influencers, you're like,
Hmm.
you don't understand how the world works, you don't touch grass. He's like, what I am saying is not controversial, men and women are different, and that's a fact, that's just how it is.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and they're saying you are, people on the left and the liberals are like, you are the ones who are wrong. You're the ones that's in your bubble saying that, like, people should be girl bosses and like all this stuff, and like the man just has to sit down and listen.
Right.
But you guys are the one who you are the toxic people essentially.
Yeah, because I saw you see a shift from, like, okay, instead of, there's this idea that you don't want to, quote, serve a man in your family.
Hmm.
However, a girl boss, whatever it might be, will serve a corporation that couldn't care less about you, and that's somehow more attractive than,
Yeah.
quote, serving your family and your husband, things like that, or whatever it might be. And
Right.
I think that the idea is that we're different, and I think we both have different strengths, which are important. We shouldn't have to do, the other what the other one does. I mean, can't we be unique
Yes.
and strong in what we
It,
both do?
exactly. Absolutely.
Right.
And I think there's that truth behind what these guys are pushing. Now, I mean, I have to say I don't agree with everything that they say. Like he talks about how he wants women to, he provides for them constantly. He does everything for them.
Okay.
Which I I don't know if I really agree with, because I don't want someone who wants to be waited on hand and foot and wants me to pay for literally everything.
Yes.
That's just I think you're being exploited at that point.
Yes. 100%.
But there's a grain of truth to behind what they say. It might be more than a grain. It might be a whole rock of truth behind what they say,
Wow. An
because
entire rock.
this whole idea of self improvement, you know, if something isn't going your way, make it go your way. Do what you have to do to get stuff done. And not saying
Absolutely.
you have to be rich, not saying you have to be loaded or anything, but like just do what you have to do to get where you want in your life, and do it.
Right.
And I think that the left has been pushing too long that, like, well, you're a victim, you could just lay down,
Yeah.
people should praise you for this, like, you don't have to do anything, you're fine, you're just a whatever it may be.
Right.
And I think that that message has died, and I don't think that is a I don't think it's a popular message anymore.
It shouldn't be a political thing. The concepts of self-reliance, self-improvement. I've always, not to tee my own horn here,
Mm-hmm.
but my significant other always says, you don't give up, and that's really a attractive thing. That's one of the best things I like about you. But
Wow.
it's the truth. It's like I don't want to suffer and do S I
No.
don't want to do. I mean, I want to improve. I want to get somewhere. I want to do this, and that's in all aspects. I want to be a personal man. Want to be a better professional. I want to be a better servant of my family, if that's what you're into. I mean, that shouldn't be a political thing.
No, it shouldn't
Yeah,
be, but it
yeah,
somehow has been turned into that. And I think people
right.
associate, maybe even if it isn't inherently what they're saying verbatim, I think people ascribe these certain viewpoints to, like, the left or the right. Like, on the left, you're a victim. You don't have to self improve. You're a queen. You're a king. Whatever, as you are. Whereas these red pillars, the people on the right, are saying you should be self improving. Like, whatever it may be. Go to the gym. Go for a friggin' walk. Go outside. Talk to people. You be more personable. Like, dress better. Whatever it may be. They're more for the self improvement aspect of it,
Right.
rather than the victimhood. Now, I mean, we could get into the relationship stuff that they talk about too, which, again, I don't know, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. They think that all women are stupid, dumb bimbos and need to be conquered at all times. Because I feel like if you're going after women like that, then I think you got a problem to begin with. But
Absolutely.
and maybe some of that messaging stems from, like, maybe some kind of insecurity or, like, something bad that happened to you in the past. Because, I mean, I'm sorry I'm rambling, Dixon, but I just have so much to say about this. But
Absolutely. It's a complex topic.
no, it really is. I mean, there is a lot to it, but I feel like if you're a red pill and you're coming out and saying, like, all women are dumb, all women are going to cheat on you. I mean, I don't want to say that the majority of women do. It's just that they have more opportunity to, but I could understand why you would think that if you had just gone through
Hmm.
something like that, because
Hmm.
I mean, because that happened to me. And this one guy, Andrew Tate, even talks about it happening to him. That some rich
Hmm.
guy, because his girl was, like, looking for money, and then she went out and found this rich guy, and then they broke up. Which, that's got to sting. I mean, immediately after that happened to me, I was pretty peed off. I had a bad outlook on women. I thought, that they were like that, but then I found my fiance, and I realized that they're not all like that. You could find someone out there who really understands you, and you understand them, and they're what you want in your significant other. But I think some of these red pill guys, as far as relationship advice goes, I think some of their views are tainted by their past experiences, and they've let that stick with them for forever.
Yeah, there's some of that, vision of the ultimate pre-workout is that the midnight I'm sorry text after girls' night, all this kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
instead of making a negative thing, you could use it for self improvement, but not carry it with you, forever.
Yeah, and I totally understand being, like, scorned and everything, but
Right.
I think in that aspect, I mean, but here's another problem, though, because I saw the one red pill streamer guy reacting to these videos of these interviews they do with, like, college girls. You ever see these where they're
Yes, I think
asking,
yeah.
like, oh, do you want, like, what do you bring to the table? And then they're like, I don't know, I have a vagina. Like, that's pretty much what they all say. And then this
Hmm.
guy just goes and criticizes you. Like, he's like, see, all women are like this. This is just what they do. But I mean, what do you think, Dixon? Do you think do you think all women are like that, or no?
I
Like
hope
like
not. I don't know.
Yeah, like as in they think they could just do nothing, but just because they
Yeah, I mean,
they control the sex that and they have a vagina that they could just do whatever they want. They don't have to do anything. They should be taken care of, given
it's
money, bought
certainly
stuff, and then
it's.
yeah,
I've seen that talking point a lot more recently, but
exactly. Of course you have because this is
yeah,
being pushed. Yeah,
and I think I also get where it's coming from is that you're in this season, especially now during summer. It's like, well, how the hell do they afford this trip to Europe? Whose boat is that girl on?
yes, yes.
What is this?
Mm.
So I understand how that's an attractive thing, but it's just such an empty, meaningless existence. And I think that's not how all women are. And I'm happy to know many of them.
Yes.
And
I'm sure.
it's
I'm sure.
you quit it. but no, I think it's certainly an attractive thing. You know what I mean? And I think that goes back to it's kind of like morphed this thing that you had those traditional values where you had a working husband, a working father, and you had a
Right.
homemaker
Yes.
wife,
Yes.
which was an attractive thing, but they were very traditional values. It was a support thing. It was a service thing. It was a pride thing. Now it's just like, oh no, I'm just existing. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yes.
gotten warped.
Yes. It has been warped to yeah, because that was a very a traditional, like you said, a traditional conservative value. But now it's been warped into well, the man just has to provide everything, and I don't have to do anything. I'm not saying that all women think that, but it
Yes,
it does make it seem from what you see on social media during these kind of interviews, it does seem like that, and I could see how guys who have been rejected, how how it makes them feel.
absolutely, 100%. And you're scorned, like you said, you're scorned. You have this
Hmm.
negative ideal, negative perspective. Somebody who really respects you isn't going to treat you like that. I can
Yes,
I can
yes,
understand that that's also attractive for the male perspective to be the provider, to have somebody to rely on. To okay, I'm going to take care of this. Let me do my thing, and enjoy that as well. So I think it's a twofold thing to discuss.
yeah. No, I think so
Yeah,
too. But I think their argument would be like, okay, well, not all women are like that, but they would say the majority of them are. And
yeah,
I mean, I guess I don't know. In my experience that's not the case. But again, I'm not hanging out with these like dolled
right.
up Gucci women who are just all about material goods because I won't associate with people like that. I don't need to be around people like that. I don't like those kind of people. But you shouldn't be going after those kind of women in the first place. Would be my advice to that.
Yeah,
I think you know, these red pillars they do have some good advice and they do bring some good insight. I really do think that, as opposed to like some leftist out there who's saying something that does that saying that like that you're privileged and everything while you're sitting there struggling paycheck to paycheck. You don't have a girlfriend. That
right.
that's not an enticing message to you.
No,
But
absolutely not.
yeah, so I think that there's there's some usefulness in their messaging, at least for your self growth and like your self improvement. I do think that the only thing I don't agree with them on is, like I said, the relationship stuff. But I guess to kind of wrap this all up because I'm going on too long. But um, I think that this is just showing us another wave that's going to come through, and I think, and we talked BTS about this, that
We did, yes.
we think that Donald Trump is going to run again
Yes,
in yeah.
yes.
So
And my concern is he too old?
mm, okay, let me just say this.
All right, let's find parting thoughts,
Okay,
because this will be the
yeah.
definitive statement, and I'm excited to hear this.
Okay, he he might be too old in the fact that he like his age is up there.
Right.
However, there is no way that he could be less cognizant and coherent than Biden is right now.
Yes.
Hmm. That's
Absolutely, 100. That's a really great way to sum it up, because not only the vibrancy, not only the you hate to be cliche, and you hate to ascribe so much power to one man, but he has his finger on the pulse. He knows what's up.
yeah.
You know.
He
Yeah.
honestly, and he's still I mean, like, I know how he talks. He sometimes he sounds a little foolish when he talks, but I think he's genuinely like a smart guy.
Right.
I really do. Like, people might think he does ridiculous or says ridiculous things, but I think when pen comes to paper and he's sitting there like planning things, I think
Yeah.
that he is a businessman like through and through. I think he's meticulous about what he does. That's just my opinion,
Absolutely.
and I think that
Absolutely.
yeah, and I think him speaking is more coherent than Biden, because again, we always talk about this, but it's kind of sad
It
like
is.
watching Biden. He's not all there.
It is.
It's very apparent. So yeah, again, to answer your question, I don't think he's too old comparatively to Biden. Would I like a younger president? I would personally. I would, but
Hmm.
I think if you're going Biden and Trump, you got to pick Trump as far
You
as that
know,
goes.
absolutely. Um, objectively, not the issues that everybody thinks are a big deal, which are really not a big deal,
Hmm.
but from a socioeconomic standpoint, from a safety standpoint,
Yeah,
those
yeah,
things you have to admit that we flourished under Trump when it comes to those things.
yes, yeah. I know. I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
we certainly flourished. Yeah, I
Hmm.
I would say like, well, what's going on right now? I don't even know. And that's another thing that Trump did. He got a lot of people involved in politics for the first time in their entire lives,
Yeah.
and I think now we're just kind of like it just feels like we're just kind of floating out there. Like
There's
no,
a absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, no. Sorry, what were we gonna say?
I was not to totally cut you off, but I thought you were finished where you thought. I apologize. But there is a scene to tie this all back in.
Hmm.
Another semi-violent shift is that there's this a scene in Elvis the film where Tom Parker is making merchandise, and the one button says "I love Elvis," and the other button says "I hate Elvis." So regardless if you hated Trump or not, you were involved. So it got
Oh
people
my God,
involved. So
that's
isn't that the
genius.
best thing you could possibly do? Because
Yeah.
through Twitter, and then you. So what I think is going to backfire on a platform like Twitter, and it's going to backfire in terms of the media and getting people fired up that Trump is such a racist buffoon. Look at what he tweeted about this taco bowl.
Hmm.
He can't tweet now, and I think you're going to totally quote disenfranchise a generation of voters because they're not going to have anything to complain about. You know, and I think it's going to go the opposite way. It's
Yeah.
going to work in the opposite favor. You know,
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Like
yeah.
almost like a 5D chess move.
Well, some
Some
would
might say.
say
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. But and again, you're getting disenfranchisement there. But like I said, the whole overarching thing of that rant was I just see the tide shifting yet again, and it's going towards the
Wow.
right. It's going towards the right, and I genuinely think that. I think we're going to see a lot more young people again going towards the right because of how the left handled them. And
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I see it happening.
Yes, and it's really it's definitely interesting. Like you said, none of these things should really ideally be political.
Right,
The idea of
right.
self-reliance, the ideal of self-improvement shouldn't be a political thing, but evidently it has been, and one side is the only one that seems to be endorsing it.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing. What you have one side kind of passively aggressively attacking you
Hmm.
for being who you are as you know, as a man, as a cis man, and then you have one person who's trying to give you traditional values and tell you to improve yourself. So I think when you have someone, again, and not to use the word too much, who's scorned,
Hmm.
they're gonna be voting for Trump come next election. That's what I'm
Wow,
saying. That's the conclusion of this. That's what it is.
wow! You heard it here first.
Wow.
A lot of firsts on this show, and I hope everybody's paying attention, taking notes. Bookmark this for when we are inevitably correct on
Yeah.
all of these things.
Oh my god, that'll be great. I'll play a compilation. It'll be like dramatic music. We'll be saying this stuff. Trump next election. It's gonna happen. The paradigm shift is happening right now.
That's fantastic. Hey,
Yeah.
and I hope you all enjoyed us breaking this stuff down. And now you probably know that Elvis is a gospel artist, and now you know that Trump is going to win in 2024.
Yep, that's right. Predicted it right now. So, so Dixon, thanks for the Elvis rundown. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for breaking this down because, like you said, it's something that I've seen, but it wasn't really something I thought about. You know,
Yeah, yeah, no, it's
but I'm seeing more and more of it.
yep, it's happening. Believe it.
The paradigm is
Yeah,
shifting, and
parrot.
so are we.
Wow,
Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button.
that's
Comment below. Comment something you want to see. Comment your favorite Elvis song.
yeah. No, yeah, seriously, do that,
Yeah.
please.
Comment your favorite president of all time.
I love it. Perfect. Yeah, we got to get a poll on what's going on here.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys. Well,
Well,
we will see you next week. Peace out.
peace.